Gotta let people know before you record them on the internet.
Right. That these.
Right. Well, how are you doing, champ? It's a great honor to talk to you today. I was a fan of you in Seattle, a fan of you now in San Francisco. That's a
Well, I appreciate it. Appreciate it. I'm doing fantastic. And yourself?
uh, as well as one can do. Yeah, these are really interesting times right now. With the pandemic ongoing, civil unrest, everything else happening in this country, the economy where it is. Shacknews is, we're a website, we're a small business. We had a lot of live events that we were planning this year at E3 in LA or South by Southwest in Austin or Comic-Con in San Diego. So we got hit really hard by the pandemic, canceling a lot of those events. So we've had to pivot. And this is an example of that. Us getting to talk to each other on Zoom remotely. And we're doing this thing called Shacknews E4. We're like, okay, well, E3 can't happen. Let's do E4.
Right.
So that's been our pivot.
No, I understand. You gotta adjust on the fly, and everybody's learning as they go, apparently, and that's the best you can do. These are unprecedented times, and you got to make the best of it.
I saw this tweet from I think it was Bandai Namco, a video game company. They're talking about their esports, and esports are like a huge thing right now. And they used the phrase "planning for maybe," and I was like, "That is the 2020 phrase
for sure." That's the 2020 in a nutshell. Planning for the maybe.
Yeah, you're training, right? You're still. You're a signed professional athlete. You're on the roster for the 49ers. I'm just curious. OTAs would have already started. Training camp would probably be kicking up in a few months. How have you, as an athlete, had to pivot, preparing yourself for the
Honestly,
next season?
I wasn't going to go to OTAs this year anyway. I'm in year 10.
Yeah.
I train on my own. I run. I do my drills. I get on my Peloton. I'm actually going to head out to a 707 in a little while. So it hasn't changed all that much for me.
Mm-hmm.
We have the expectation that the season will proceed. Training camp doesn't start until July 27th. They may move that up a hitch, but it's been all the expectation that the season's going to start. So I've trained that way. The big difference, honestly, is with the kids and them not going to school.
Yeah.
Not getting to travel and take them on vacations that you promised them and things like that. But for the most part, it's been pretty stable and pretty straightforward because they're young kids, and you can keep them occupied pretty easy. They're full of energy, but outside of that, the football side of it is football. It's like getting on a bike and riding it.
Yeah, I guess you were in the off season anyway, so you were gonna have some downtime. But you probably travel a lot for work anyway, even in the off season. Has it been weird? Like you mentioned, not even going on vacation. Has that been weird? The lack of getting on a plane, the lack of traveling.
Oh, for sure. The first time I got on the plane was the other day on Friday. I went to LA for my brother's birthday, and it was weird. It's weird how they seat planes now, and I didn't realize it until then. But I hadn't been on a plane in probably 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think in the last, 10 years, I would say, I had gone that long without getting on a plane and going somewhere.
I think like one change I heard the FAA, or at least maybe some airlines doing, is now people who are sitting on the back of the plane now board first. And I'm like, that's the kind of the way it should have always been.
Right. That makes the most sense. Like, who thought to seat people in the front of the plane first? Like, it's the most ridiculous thing in the world. Like,
it's some elitist stuff right there.
Right. Only to everybody walk past you and bump your arm.
Yeah, exactly. Think about how many times you get hit by someone's carry-on rolling by you. It just from a social distance standpoint, yeah, obviously now. But even then, I'm like, fine. If that's one of the improvements we get, so be it.
Right, right. It took COVID to get there. So I guess yeah, whatever.
So how long are you in LA right now?
No, I'm back in Seattle now.
Oh, okay.
So
So
I got
is Seattle home? Seattle's still home for you?
yeah, Seattle's home base. It's where my kids are. It's where my wife is. So it's home base.
I mean, it's where I would say it's where your story really became legendary, right? The Legion of Boom, everything you did there. I'm a fan of football. I miss football. I miss all sports right now. I know the NBA is figuring out how to reopen right now. They were the first to close, when things were going down. Their season, hockey season, and MLB really been affected. But I was looking at some of your college career stats, and you were a wide receiver in college. And
Right.
we're kind of talking about pivoting here with the pandemic. Was he talk about that season where you switched from being a wide receiver to a defensive back, and what you brought to that, and how you brought, that's what you became known for in the NFL, but in high school and probably college, you were on the offensive side of the ball, right?
Right. Well, it was one of those things where it helped me to a degree because we ran the West Coast, and before the late Bill Walsh passed, he came and spoke to us and taught us the West Coast offense, like from the fundamental base of it. And so I knew it inside and out. And so going into college, they run so many different offenses, so you can't just kind of peg what you're going to do. But in the NFL, everything's a version of the West Coast offense. Everything is branched off of that tree.
Mm-hmm.
Like there may be a system that tries not to delve too deep into the West Coast, but there are concepts that they have to run, whether it's on third down or in certain red zone situations, they'll run West Coast offense concepts. And so me learning it to that degree, that's why I've actually been better in NFL than I was in college, because in college you have to deal with a different offense every month. I mean, you might have freaking 5 receivers spread out every play, and then you may have power I the next game, or you might have the wing T, or you might have Air Force running some crazy, wishbone, or
yeah, sure.
And so it's hard to peg it. But in the NFL, you have a majority of people running very similar concepts. So it becomes, second nature to understand and recognize things. And once you know which concepts marry up with others, then it makes your life a lot easier.
Were you concerned in college when you switched positions? Were you worried about, your professional career or what it would do for you? Or were you motivated by what it could do for you?
There was a bit of concern, but I was more motivated than anything because I was frustrated. I was pissed. And then I knew our offense. So I went from the bottom of the depth chart in spring ball, when spring ball began, I was the number 1 corner by the end of spring ball, because I literally knew every play our offense is going to run. I knew every split. So I was the most annoying player to ever play against.
Yeah, because you knew everything they were doing.
Everything they were going to do before they did. They tried to change all the signals, but you don't freaking make all the signals to just change them in spring ball for one player. Mm-hmm. But every time you signal, then I know what the play is. So, but there was some uncertainty for sure, because it's just changed. Just like this time in COVID, everybody's the most stressful thing is the uncertain, the change. I don't know what's going to happen. It's like preparing for the maybe, like you said. Bandai was.
Yeah.
It's weird because you don't know what you're preparing for. It's a time that nobody's ever gone through before. It's a novel virus, so even the experts are changing their expertise every day. It's like, hey, we think it's this. No, wait, it's this. No, it's over here. No, it's down here. We know it's down here now. If we know anything, no, it's down here. And then the next day they're like, it might be over here.
It's because it's less than a year into this pandemic. So
right.
We don't even know the long-term effects of COVID-19 yet, because a long time hasn't passed yet. So, and then also you see like the stock market goes up on all these expectations of a vaccine. And I'm like, okay, I think that we should root for all these things to happen. But I think that like sometimes this is a natural event happening, and we're just kind of, humans are not infallible. I think this moment has kind of shown that.
Right. It's showing mortality. It's showing that we don't have all the answers, and we're still in an uncertain environment. And I think that the fear of not knowing is why they put everybody in the house and said, hey, everybody stay at home, because we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And some countries are like, well, there's many things you didn't know. It's like when AIDS first came to be, and HIV, and everybody was like, oh my God, I don't know how you get it. And everybody just stay away from each other. And people were like, hey, if you got AIDS, like pretty much just like go somewhere else, and then you find out, the way it's contracted, and that, they find a way to contain it. And no one thinks of AIDS as, well, it's very serious still, but they don't think of it the way they did when it first came.
Oh yeah, because of science and knowledge, like you said, and the spread of knowledge, it's turned into a chronic disease for wealthy people, but not for everyone, because some of that AIDS cocktail drug costs a lot of money, and if you live in a place that doesn't have health care for everybody, it's very expensive to stay healthy with that. But you're right, like over time, as we gain more knowledge about this virus, it's going to become less of a concern. But in that moment in March, when we didn't have certainty about anything, it was the prudent thing to do. And even if you look at how many people have died, like over 110,000 Americans have died. Everyone knows someone who could be hurt by this virus. I think that it showed us that we're all connected in that way.
Right, but then it showed us how unprepared we were.
Yeah,
when it's something as archaic as, hey, just stay away from each other. Like in the age of brilliance and growth and technological expansion, and scientific knowledge, our only answer for a novel virus is stay away from each other, mask up until we figure it out. And you never thought you'd hear that. Like in 1919, sure, you think, hey man, we don't even have cell phones. But in an age where I can FaceTime you from hundreds of miles away or thousands of miles away, and we can land on the moon, or we can go into space, we cannot figure out a virus immediately. You know what I mean? That's a strain of a virus that we knew. And it's not to really, really honestly argue any point, but it's just, it goes to opening eyes and understanding that we're a long way away from being where I think we are.
My personal opinion is that it would have been helpful if everyone had health care going into this. Okay, I think we would be less afraid to go to the doctor to get checked out. I'm not going to be political, but I just think that it seems like there's other countries out there that are doing a better job than the United States of America. The data is showing us that.
I could not agree with you more. And then the amount of money that appeared out of thin air probably could have paid for health care. I don't know. I'm not a rocket scientist.
Thank you, Richard, for bringing that up. They rushed to print money to bail out companies, bail out airlines, all sorts of industries. But when Bernie Sanders talked about Medicare for all earlier this year, it was, how are you going to pay for it? We have a money printer. That's how you pay for these things. And it's like, why are we making these decisions that corporations need the bailout when there's obvious things we could do for like public health? And even there's the concept of the reopening, that some people think that we chose the economy over public health there too.
Because we live in a country that is about the haves and the have-nots. And the people who have money will always have a lot more than the people who don't. And even in a pandemic that affects everyone and affects those people with money the very least, because they have healthcare, they have money to pay for them to get taken care of as best they can, they still are greedy enough to say, hey, forget the little people, forget all these people starving. That's why all these huge companies were applying for PPP. Like, how are you applying for PPP, small business loans, when you're a Fortune 500, Fortune 50 company? But I guess you became a Fortune 50 company by skirting and cutting every corner you can to make sure that your top level executives have the most and your employees have the least. And that's the sad state that we live in. And this this pandemic has kind of exposed that, I guess.
And I know you've done work in Seattle with your Blanket Coverage Foundation on addressing wealth disparity in a big way. Because I know Seattle has big tech companies, Microsoft, Amazon, all these. It's funny. I don't mean this in any disparaging way. You grew up in Compton, and then you went to college up in Silicon Valley, right?
Right.
And then you were up in Seattle. So you went from like Compton, to these very, very posh parts of northwestern part of the United States. And like, I think it's awesome that your foundation has done so much to help the homeless population. I've been up. Before this all happened, I would go to Seattle every year for PAX West, that gaming convention, and there are tent cities up in Seattle right now, and that doesn't go away during a pandemic. If anything, we should be helping those people more right now.
Right. But that's the part where the elected officials aren't connected to the city as well as they should be. And that's the part where empathy, true empathy, would kick in and say, hey, we're printing money right now, which is a touchy subject, because then it depreciates the dollar in the grand scheme of thing, because anytime you have more money, it's worth less. But that's a story for a different day. But in that time where you're saying, hey, we're almost arresting people for not staying at home, what do you do for the people who don't have a home?
Yes.
And at that time, they were erasing those tent camps. Like, they were going in and enforcing, like, kicking people out. It's like, how do you do that? This is the only bit of home they have, and they're staying there. Like, now you just put them out on the streets. So you're saying this pandemic is out there, and your answer to the stay at home and helping these people is to kick them out of the space that they could stay in and put them out on the streets and expose them to whatever's out there. And in exposing them, you're exposing everybody.
And at a time where, and I saw this in San Francisco as well, these hotels are like empty. No one's traveling anywhere right now. So there's plenty of places that you could have homeless people stay. It's not like there's like empty real estate. Like, there's places, if companies wanted to be charitable, there are ways to actually help the homeless population in a lot of these metropolises right now. And that's why I think it's crazy during a pandemic that we're not helping the people who need the help the most right now. Because this is a thing where if we don't get rid of the virus everywhere, it's going to continue to spread.
100%. And that's where it's almost like we're not truly trying to get rid of it. Because if you were, then just like you said, all those people would be somewhere. They get treatments. We nix it. Hey, everybody's clear. Cool. We can go back to being that. But until you do that, there's no chance of you eliminating it. And like you said, there's hope for a vaccine. But the flu's been here over 100 years. And where's the vaccine? The flu's been here for 100 years. Have you guys just stopped working on the vaccine for that? And to think that's been here for 100 years. And I'm not saying that they're the same. I'm just saying, giving an example of a virus that they haven't found a solution to. Their solution to that virus is to give you a dormant strain that they think is going to be this year's strain. And if it's not, then guess what? You catch the flu again.
Yeah, it's a guessing game. And there's not proof that there's so much uncertainty about antibodies that are created by these things and all sorts of things. So like, I want to be optimistic. I want to say like, okay, we're going to do this, but I look at how the bureaucracy is making these decisions during this time. And like you had mentioned earlier, I think it says a lot that there's a lot of people right now suffering in this country, and the stock market's hitting, like the NASDAQ hit an all-time high today. Apple hit an all-time high today. Tesla hit an all-time high today. So it's like, there's this weird dichotomy where I'm like, what economy is actually real right now? Because it seems like empty NFL stadiums, that's not good. That's not good for the economy. It's not good for the bars around the stadiums. It's not good for the restaurants. It's not good for the parking lots. It's not good for anyone who works at any of those places. So yes, if you guys come back and it's an empty stadium or whatever, it's good for the NFL and their TV revenue. But the GDP effect of this year, like, I feel like people are still like plugging their like ears and just closing their eyes. Is like I don't know. I live in Northeast Ohio. I know how important those 8 Browns games are to downtown, you
Right.
know?
And that's where I'm not sure it's going to be that way. I think there's going to be a transition on how people feel about the virus and about staying home and about masking and about social distancing. I think there's going to be a bit of a rebuke towards that very soon, and it's starting in states like Arizona and Texas. I think Texas has said that stadiums can fill 50%.
Oh,
This,
geez.
and by the time September comes, I'm sure it'll be 100. And if Texas has 100% of people in the stands, then that'll be the first domino of many to fall.
Sure.
These owners, like I said, the money speaks. The rest of it is bureaucratic nonsense. But the money will tell the tale. So if Texas stadiums, if you're saying in Dallas and Houston that they're filling stadiums, and in Arizona they're filling the stadium, and in Florida they're filling the stadiums, then New York's going to sit there and be like, hey, what are we doing? Like, we're losing millions of dollars, and they're not. And they seem to be doing fine. Now, has there been a spike in Arizona of the COVID-19 cases? 100%.
Yeah, same with Texas.
What you think was going to happen with no vaccine? There's not.
Yeah.
You just can't stay in the house until time ends, you know? So it's like either we find a way to live with it, or we don't live at all.
That's an interesting point, and I think that I think China kind of showed that there's a way to reopen, but then I think it's this interesting, like you're saying, it's an interesting decision being made not by us but by rich people and the government, that the economy, the economic impact of staying closed was worse than the amount of death that's going to happen based on us reopening. I think that's
right. And I think we get so caught up in the numbers because they're right in front of us. Everybody keeps producing like this many people died, and everybody feels empathetic and sympathetic to that. But it gets to a point where if you produce death numbers for anything, it make me feel awful. If you showed me how many people die of cancer, how many people died of cancer today, I would feel terrible, and I'd be like, my goodness, what can we do to help those people? If you showed me how many died from drunk driving or guns or whatever the case may be, I feel terrible. And so I think it's to a point where no matter what happens, until there's a vaccine, if you keep showing these people the numbers, then you'll just keep inciting panic.
Yep. Sorry, my dog wanted to sit on my lap.
No, I understand.
No, I think it's a really good point that there's, I think because we were hyper focused on COVID-19, because it was this new thing, that we ignored a lot of things, and there's a movement happening right now in America that I think was being ignored at the beginning of the pandemic that kind of is still going on right now. I want you have a really interesting story just recently with your most recent contract in San Francisco. You negotiated that by yourself, right?
Right.
That's amazing. This is like a new precedent for NFL players, at least, right?
100%. There were a few that had done it, but there is only a handful.
And you're very vocal about players being educated with what to do with their money, and how to, because when you're a lot of these folks are 20 to 22 years old when they get into the league. Some of them have multi-million-dollar contracts, and they don't know what to do with their money. It seems like you actually invest. You actually are charitable. You've been able to look to the future while still being an NFL player, because it's amazing you're still playing at the level you are right now, sir. I can tell you that much. But you've been in the league for a while, right?
Right. This is going on my 10th year, so it's been a good run. But it's one of those things that you just got to kind of keep perspective. Like you said, I came from Compton, so I didn't have this knowledge growing up. It wasn't like my parents were like, hey, these are the stocks you need to invest in when you get older. This is how you manage your money. This is, it's not like My dad worked for an investment fund, and I got all the information, growing up. I had to kind of learn as I went, and then I had to convey that information to my family. So we all had the information. We all grew. And that's one of the things that my foundation does to try to educate, especially people of color and people that just come from the inner city, because there's so much information you just don't have. Buying a house is usually the last thing on people's mind because they think it's Mount Everest. They think, oh my God, this is the craziest thing in the world. I can never accomplish it. Not understanding that it's much closer to a sandhill than it is Mount Everest. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be difficult, but if you're paying rent, I guarantee you that America has a ton of first-time homebuyer programs that your mortgage wouldn't be that much higher than your rent. And what when I tell that to a lot of my family members, they're bamboozled and they look into it, and then suddenly months later, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months down the line, they're going through escrow now, and they're owning a house. And I think that's a huge part of the disparity, is the lack of information, because people are just trying to make ends meet their entire lives. And the next thing you know, they're 65 and they barely have enough to do anything, and they're trying to just retire and make sure they're not put into an old folks home,
Don't you think there's like a hopelessness too that is almost like a virus in itself, that once it seeps into your brain, you're like, I can't get out of this situation.
100%. You're so accurate with that.
But like, how did you overcome? I think to the people who are like, to the kids who are in the inner city right now in the middle of this pandemic, whose schools were already in terrible shape. You know what I mean? Like, what is the message to stay motivated and that there is upward mobility, even though you feel like there is.
It's perspective. It's finding something you believe in, finding something that you truly are passionate about, and not taking no for an answer. Finding your path and your light, and walking through there, and not letting hurdles, not letting obstacles, not letting valleys in the road, not letting potholes stop you. Like, it's not going to be a smooth ride. It's never going to be. And I think once you understand that, then you'll treat everything accordingly. Once you understand that, hey, the road to being successful, and especially coming out of the inner city, is not going to just be a cakewalk. It's not. Then every obstacle you face, you understand it's just a test. It's just a test of how bad you want it. How great do you want to be? How badly do you want to accomplish the goal that you set out to when you were a kid? And then you as you're going through it, no matter how hard it is, like you asked the transition at Stanford, that was a huge obstacle for me, but I kept perspective. Like, I knew where I wanted to get to. So it was a difficult choice and a difficult deal, but I took it as a challenge. Like, hey, I got to get through this. Like, this is one of those things you just got to get through and make it on the other side to get what you want to get accomplished. And if you don't make it through, then you don't really want what you say that you want.
So, Shacknews is a video game website. We've been running for 24 years. I'm curious, because you've been stuck at home. What have you been playing? Have you been playing any games?
2K and COD.
2K and COD. So in 2K, do you have a franchise or a player? What are you doing there?
Strict my player. I have a 6'10", three level score with a 96 3 ball.
What team are you playing on?
The Lakers.
Oh, okay, so you're on LeBron's team?
Yeah. I'm been a Lakers fan.
You setting picks for LeBron and then doing the pick and roll move with him?
No, I literally just call for the ball every time and drain threes. I'm not gonna lie.
So you're like a spot up 4.
Yeah, I'm a 3.
You're a 3 and you're 6'11"?
Yes, I'm 6'10". I made the dude to be like Kevin Durant. That's all
okay. I was gonna say, this kind of sounds like Durant and Brown on the same team, and they got Davis. Okay, that team's stacked.
Right. We're very difficult to beat.
I mean, no,
yes.
Yeah. It's rare for me to say this because I'm a Cavs fan. I'm a Cleveland fan, deep down, right? And LeBron left us for the Lakers or whatever. I feel for Lakers fans this year. You folks have been through a serious loss with Kobe tragically being taken away from us. And, like, I want this season to end for that fan base. Like, I I want to see the postseason happen.
Right. And it's personally, it's been a traumatic year for obvious reasons. But yeah, I want the same, man. I think the city deserves it. You know, I think it'd only be fitting for it to end that way. You know, obviously, shoot, Kobe was and will always be an icon, and I hope it does end that way. Honestly.
Yeah. No, I am, as a sports fan, I'm cheering for that now. Like, I was like, well, damn, because I'm a, you know, a lot of people say I'm a LeBron James fan. No. I'm a Cavs fan. I'm a Indians fan. I'm a Browns fan. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I know when LeBron's activated and he's super motivated to go off. And this is one of those postseasons. I think we're in for a real big treat.
And he's going in rested. Well, very well rested.
I know, right? He's just sitting at home drinking wine, waiting for the playoffs to start.
Right.
Can you imagine that? Like, in football, it's grueling. To win a Super Bowl, you have to win 19 games at least, right?
Right.
Can you imagine having this kind of break before a Super Bowl run?
No, I could not. We'd go in broken and bruised. We'd come back.
Nobody on your squad is like not on the injury report by the Super Bowl. Like, somebody's getting something taped by them.
Then they're all just taped to the finish line.
And you know, I know they're working on maybe expanding the regular season and stuff this year or next year. And like, I was curious, did you watch any of this XFL? Those few weeks of it?
But I didn't catch a ton of it, but it was decent football what I caught.
I thought it was interesting. Some of their new rules that they were pitching, like the idea of going for a 3-point conversion, I thought was neat.
Right.
I don't know. It was interesting. It lasted, I think, less than the previous XFL incarnation did.
Right. And crazy is if it wasn't for the chaos, you know, it would have been fine. You know, this pandemic was really the death of that. And I mean, obviously it was going to be difficult regardless, but it was just sad because they actually had a cool thing going and it was giving a lot of guys an opportunity to showcase.
It was going to be like a minor league for the NFL, which I think is super important. Like, I know we have the CFL, we have Arena, the XFL. It just seemed like another opportunity to showcase, like you said. So I was for it. I liked that they were experimenting in some rules. I liked what they did with the transparency in the replay booth. I'm curious.
That was really cool. That was really cool. That was one of the coolest parts, honestly, for me.
Yeah. Now, I think that there's some lessons that the NFL could learn there.
Yeah, but it was about learning lessons. They wouldn't be running the 40 still. So, you know, it's some things that they just learn the hard.
So you mentioned you're playing COD. Are you playing Modern Warfare or are you playing Warzone? Warzone?
Yeah, because nobody plays if you play hardcore team deathmatch, everybody camps. If you play domination, nobody ever actually tries to capture the flags. Mm-hmm. You know, so I just get frustrated with that. I know in Warzone, I mean, you're going to deal with your freaking, you know.
Yeah, we're here talking about State Farm's Play a Part Together campaign. I figure, are you squadding up with some friends? Do you have any teammates that you play with from back in the day or today that you're playing online with?
Yeah, I play with Mike Davis sometimes. I play with Tyvis Powell. I play with my boy Deezy. I play with Raheem a few times.
He's a beast.
Demontre, oh yeah, he's for sure a beast.
Mostert out of nowhere. Holy crap.
Right.
Like, I love stories like that in sports. Like, Mostert got that shot, and it just shows you just stay prepared.
Right, and it shows you, like, it doesn't matter where you get picked. Some people get confused in the notion, like, oh, man, he's not a first-rounder, so he's only going to be good for a little while. It's like, no, I mean, some of these first-rounders you wait 6 years to see if they pan out, and you keep giving them credit every year. You're like, yeah, this is going to be the year. I saw what he could do in college, so I know this is the year. And it's like, it's year 5. And so you're ignoring this second-year player who's obviously shown you that he's better because you're waiting on potential. And that's where I always been frustrated. Maybe it's because I'm a low-round draft pick, but I've always valued production over potential.
Talking about a guy who got drafted really late, and this is something that happened in the offseason that I think people were surprised by. Are you happy to see the Patriots blow up, or are you upset that now Tom Brady's in your conference?
They didn't really blow up. I mean, they lost touchdown Tom, but, you know, they found a way to win without him when he was suspended for 6 games. So, you know, they'll find a way if they really want to win. And they
So it's
still have
like the Empire after the Death Star blew up. They're still the Empire.
right. Then they have the next one, you know. But yeah, I mean, I don't, you know, as a competitor, you don't give a damn who's in the conference. You know, you think you're gonna win it. But you know, he's never been in the NFC, so you know, he's gone to probably one of the toughest conferences, one of the toughest divisions in football. You know, it's between them and probably us. The North is pretty tough as well, but yeah, it's going to be different for him. You know, the East, you know, no offense to them, but you know, they've been a lot of rebuilding teams for a lot of years, and he's been able to walk through that. And these teams aren't rebuilding. You know, New Orleans is who they are. Atlanta's always a challenger. You know what I mean? Carolina's always got a very solid team, and you know, have a lot of talent. So you know, it's not, he's going to have his hands full for sure. You got to play each team twice.
You know, there's an element of luck in this in that sport. Like, can you talk about your championship run and how special it is, having been to multiple Super Bowls and won, you know, that win? You talk about just how many things had to go right that season, and like how it just, you look back on it and you're just like, wow, what a magical thing to happen.
Right. It's every time it happens, you're there's a tremendous amount of luck, and there's a tremendous amount of things that you overcame. You know, like this year we overcame losing Joe for, I don't know, like 8 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, then we lost McGlinchey. You lose your 2 tackles. We lost them for like both of them. We were missing for at least 2 games, maybe 3. And nobody survives that. Not in this league. You don't survive losing 1 tackle, especially the left tackle. So losing both, pretty much a death sentence, like no matter how good your team is. And we overcame that. And then he came back pretty fresh for the postseason run. And so that was a blessing. But there were so many things, you know, anytime you win football games, there's so many things that got to go right, so many moving pieces. And it's 100% injury game. So you're just praying that, you know, the guys that get injured, you know, you got a replacement for. And, you know, we lost some depth at D-line, and kept having to bring new guys in after new guys. We lost Quan Alexander. Thank goodness we played a 5th-round rookie in Greenlaw, and he ended up being a freaking stud. And so, you know, it's things that people don't think about because they worked out well. But we're depending on Deebo Samuel's a rookie. You know, Kendrick Bourne is pretty much an unknown. We got Emmanuel in the middle of the season. You know, it's people thinking like, oh, man, this thing is just running smooth, man. These guys are great. But it's like, if you really think about it, this is a 5th-round rookie linebacker that nobody thought was who he is. But now you're looking at him like he was just a first-rounder. Like he's just, you know, been this dominant. We wouldn't have secured the number 1 seed without Greenlaw making that play. And so even on the other side of that corner, we had an undrafted rookie, second-year player playing at a high level. And
you got to play the Browns last season. So that was like a free one.
It wasn't supposed to be. They got a lot of talent.
Man, we tend to have talent. We'll go out there and spend money sometimes. I'm sure we tried to get you at one point, but like I don't know. It's a snake bitten franchise, Richard. I don't know what to tell you.
I don't know what to tell you. They got Joe Woods now, so they got a good D coordinator. I like Joe and what he'll bring. He'll get the best out of those boys for sure.
I'll support them whenever the season starts. I will support my Browns, but ultimately, at some point later in the season, when they fall off, I have to go find a team that's in it still to root for in the playoffs, right? Because
feel free if we're in it.
Oh no, for sure. Last year, it was hard not to love your team. You know, you played great defense. Your run game was sick. Like, and yeah, you had that. You had some deep ball threats on offense. I don't know. It's luck, right? So
it's always a bit of luck. You know, you got to the ball has to bounce your way a few times.
I can tell you're hungry to get back on the field, right?
Oh yeah, of course. But you know, this is the off season. Everybody's like, man, I'm so ready for the season. I'm like, well, you realize we wouldn't, whether this was pandemic or not. You know,
like, I'm ready to go to Hawaii.
Right, ready to be on vacation. You know, it's gonna be a lot of people pissed off during this season because you play all season for 4 or 5 months, and then you finally get to let your hair down and get on vacation, and you're not gonna be able to. So you're gonna be right back to the grind.
So I'm curious how you're gaming right now. Do you have a PC or are you playing on PS4 or what do you game on?
I'm on Xbox on a monitor.
Okay.
I keep hearing that I should be on PC with the mouse and keyboard, but I just can't see it.
I mean, that's where it all started, and we kind of come back to it. But if you're comfortable on a controller, it's nice to have your man cave. You must have a pretty sick man cave setup, right? Do you have like a gaming area?
Got a decent one set up, but I have better ones set up in San Jose right now. But that's a story for a different day.
Oh yeah, because you're splitting time when you're training and you're playing during the regular season. You're down in San Jose, but your family's up in Seattle.
Correct.
That's right. Cool. No, I really appreciate you making the time to chat with me today, and I think it's cool to see people coming together. I know that we're reopening now, but this play a part together campaign really it speaks to how important video games have been during this period where people have been stuck at home. It's been a really great outlet for a lot of people.
100%. 100%. I can imagine what it would have been like without it.
Yeah, without that and Netflix, right?
Right.
How old are your kids?
4 and 5.
Okay, so are they watching like Thomas the Train and stuff, or?
Oh, they're Paw Patrol. They're she's a frozen small. She I can't imagine how many times we've seen the same movie repeatedly, and it's like the first time she watched it, she's like, "Can we watch it again?" I'm like, well, I mean, I can almost speak it word for word right now, but if that's what you want, then let's do it.
They're just a little young to be playing video games, though, right?
No, not my son. He's on Pokemon. He's on Pokemon Shield right now on his Nintendo Switch.
Oh, so he's already playing Switch at 5. So you're doing it right.
Yeah, right. Got to do it right. And he's beast. Somehow he can play it on his iPad, and he's free. He'll just speak and be like, "Hey, Dad, let me show you this. I'm a sweat. This is a noob." I'm like, "Wait, son, I don't even know what you're talking about right now. I mean, I got you though. You got 18 kills, so you must be doing something."
That's great. Yeah, no, there's so you let them play Fortnite?
Yeah, I'll let him go. I explained to him it's a video game. I explained to him right from wrong. I feel like I can teach the lessons straight up. You're going to know not to run around with a gun trying to shoot random people. I think I can pretty much get that through to him.
Yeah, no, my brother and I, when our nephews would come over and play Fortnite, we're always like, killing people's bad.
Right. Like, just remember, video game, guys.
Like, remember, killing people's bad, but congratulations on your victory royale. That was a nice headshot. Like I said, Richard, I could talk to you forever. It's I don't know if you can tell I love football. I'm actually here in Canton, Ohio, which I know you're going to be coming to 5 years after you're done. Whenever you decide to stop playing, maybe we'll have you in Canton, Ohio.
Right, that'd be a blessing. Come down there and spend some good time.
You fitted for one of those gold jackets.
Right, the ones you can't pay for.
Yep. No, you are a champion, sir. And I think your story is very inspirational to a lot of people out there. I know these are trying times for a lot of folks from communities you care about a lot, in places that you've grown up, places I grew up. It's kind of there's a lot of suffering in the world right now. To send a message of positivity out to the world, and for you to take the time out, I really appreciate it today.
And I appreciate you. This is great talk, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So we got to do it again sometime.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Looking forward to this next season for the 49ers. You're not in my conference, so I could root for you.
Right. We don't play you guys at all, so we got a chance.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Richard. I'm Asif Khan from Shacknews. Stay tuned for more E4 content.